Welcome back to All Philly all the time, and it is a fantastic day. The Philadelphia Eagles demolished the Dallas Cowboys, and that is always good news. Also, good news. All three of us are here today, so that's always fun. I really like the color scheme we have going. If you're watching on YouTube, just the red, blue, and
Red,
green.
green, and blue.
I feel like that's like a classic, like TV show characters. Like the three main characters wear those color T-shirts.
Are
Um,
you literally just thinking of Alvin and the Chipmunks?
Oh yeah,
That is the
perfect
only TV
example.
show slash movie where I can think of that happening.
I don't know. I don't know what I was thinking of, but that works. Um,
Guys, we're like America, but green instead of white.
Yeah, that's a great analogy, Luke.
uh-huh.
You hit it spot on there. I love the Alvin and the Chipmunks reference, especially with Christmas right around the corner. It's right after Halloween. Like it gets earlier and earlier every year, and before listening to music, like I honestly really don't like it, but
Hmm.
maybe that's just me.
The only Christmas song I've listened to so far this year was Jason Kelsey's Christmas album. I believe they released a single
Mhm.
earlier this month.
That's
Um,
acceptable.
prior to
That's
the
allowed.
November 22nd dropping of the third and final Eagles Christmas album.
I agree
That's
with
see,
Sparky. That's
that's
allowed.
that's acceptable,
Mhm.
and that was a remarkable drop. You know what else was remarkable? The Cowboys, man.
There's
The
the
amount of
transition.
fumbles, the amount of drops that they dropped the football. It was like they didn't want to hold on to it. They had 5 turnovers. Luke, say that statistic again. Yeah, say that again.
They had 6 points total today and 5 turnovers. They had one more point than they did turnovers in today against the Eagles. I can't discount the fact that our first half looked sloppy and we had, what, 3 turnovers today? Or 2?
Two.
3?
Two.
2
And
turnovers.
so sloppy in the first half, but, got ourselves together in the second half and absolutely demolished the Cowboys.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you
a
love to see it.
rivalry you love to see. I mean, Cowboys Eagles is always a big matchup. There's always going to be people on both sides of the fence talking. You know what I found out? I found out yesterday that there's a lot of people in Mexico that root for the Cowboys. Who would have thought? The Cowboys,
That
they're
makes
not
sense.
America's team anymore.
Close to
They're Mexico's team.
Mexico.
The whole border thing.
Geographically, it makes sense.
That's true. I didn't think about that. I didn't comprehend that in my head. Why they were, because who can who likes the Cowboys? They're the absolute worst team in the world, and they proved it today.
I saw a headline the other day that said, it was a question. It's like, have the Chiefs surpassed the Cowboys as America's team? And I was like, I don't think anyone understands what America's team is supposed to be because we don't like the Chiefs either. So I didn't understand that. But yeah,
Right.
I'd
I
love to
think
see
America's
team
team
fail.
would be the Bills if I had Bills or the
Something
Lions.
like that. Yeah. Oh, the
Like
Lions.
right now.
Lions. The Lions are definitely
have got
America's
his
team.
most liked team. I don't like.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I like the Lions for goodness sakes. They're a fun team to watch.
Yeah. Yeah. The Lions are definitely America's team. But yeah, back to this game. It was amazing. There's a ton of things that we could focus on. Obviously, our most enjoyable topic is that the Cowboys are terrible. But just to keep it more concise, let's each take one thing. So, Luke, what was your one thing from this game that you would like to highlight?
I would like to highlight our starters or our not, big five in Jalen Hurts, Saquon Barkley, AJ Devontae, and Dallas Goedert. Because obviously they're performing pretty much every game. They're constantly doing well for us. But when things aren't going your way. And we saw some good stuff out of Johnny Wilson today. We saw like good catch out of John Dotson today. We saw Kenny step up and even Shipley step up when they took Saquon out just to give him some rest because we got a short week here before our next game. And so shout out to those guys. In that garbage time, they were really new plays. Even before that, Johnny Wilson had his touchdown. Jahan Dodson had his catch earlier in the game. And so to see them step up today, like, shout out to them. Knowing that we can have trust in these guys, even when our top playmakers, may not be in the game.
That's true. It was an all-around team effort.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and
yeah, it was such a fun game to watch. Did I freeze for you guys? Because you guys froze for me. So I heard Parker say, "Oh."
You requested, and you waited like
10
seconds before you answered.
I heard Parker say Owen, and I was like, all right, yeah, it was a fun game to watch. What did you ask?
Wait. I'll ask you the question again. Here's what I said. I said, "Oh, who do you want to go with?"
Oh, I would like to highlight. I would like to highlight Jalen Hurts because it seemed like at the beginning of this game you're like, oh no, Jalen's back to the old Jalen. This is bad. He throws an interception. He fumbles. He got sacked 3 dropbacks in a row at one point, and he bounced back phenomenally. Had a great second half. 2 touchdown passes. 14 for 20 I'm totally fine with that completion percentage. The pick was not great. Trayvon Diggs made an awesome play. So it wasn't like the worst pick we've ever seen. And then the pocket presence seemed like it was really going to be an issue. But then, yeah, he got it under control in the second half, and it was not an issue that we were worried about for the rest of the game. So that was very good for us as fans to be like, okay, that was false alarm. We're fine. Jalen did not revert back to first 3 games of the season. Jalen, like, we're still good, and I would say we all still fully trust him, right?
I do. I mean, he had 2 turnovers again. It's like, I feel like it's a little bit of a reoccurring theme, and I feel like, hey, this could come back to bite us in a playoff game. He has one of these games where he has 2 turnovers, and it's not against the Cowboys. It's, a good team like the Packers or the Lions or, whoever comes out of the NFC West. And you have 2 turnovers, a fumble, and an interception. Like, that's not going to – it's going to be hard to win that game, because you're not going to force 5 turnovers every game.
To that point, though, I think it's also super important. The way Jalen handled it today was phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
He stayed in it mentally. He didn't check out of the game. He didn't say, "Oh man, 2 turnovers in the first half. I suck. I'm out of this game. We can't win this when we're down or when we're up only 7-6 to this awful Cowboys team." He stayed in it and he turned it around and he played a phenomenal second half. And even in that last drive of the second quarter, drove down the field very well and scored there at the end of the half to put us up 14-6 going into the half. And so, yeah, obviously those sloppy mistakes suck and we can't see that. But after, 4 or 5 consecutive really, really good games by Jalen, made some mistakes in this one. I think he handled it very, very well. And so if we can see him handle it well like that, still scary, still kind of, hard to, handle that. But at the same time, I think he handled it well. And I think that shows signs of a good leader and a good quarterback right there.
Yeah. I think that drive to end the half where they marched down in like 2 minutes and scored a touchdown, that sealed the, he always stays level. And that kind of just proved like, hey, Jalen's got a really good mindset. I love his mentality. I don't think anybody's better than him from a mental standpoint. Because even when he does have situations where he throws an interception turnover, he always seems to just stay in the game, stay level-headed. He doesn't get too hot, too excited, or too down on himself. So I really like his mentality. For me, the I guess breakout superstar. Okay, like everybody knew Saquon was going to be good, but I have to go Saquon. I have to give him his flowers because this whole season, he's just been absolutely insane. You're seeing what a good offensive line can do with an absolutely amazing player. And he always seems to have one or two just amazing runs per game, right? So whether it was the reverse hurdle last week, this week went down inside the red zone, and he just gets the ball behind the line of scrimmage, makes a sharp cut, splits two Cowboys defenders, they run into each other, then waits for the first down, almost gets into the end zone, and then he broke off another. Like, he just breaks off like 15, 20-yard run like that. And he almost, not this game, but almost every game, he has like a 40-plus yard, like 40 to 65 yards. Like, he breaks one off, or like a 30-yard touchdown run. Like, it's just so cool to watch how explosive he is. I was looking up his season stats, and it's just amazing. Dude. Because he has, all right, so if you include this game, he had another, let's see, how many yards? He had 66 yards on the ground, which isn't crazy this game.
And then he also had another
a down game, and he still had 78 total yards this game. So if you add that to his 1071, you're getting like 1150 almost, like right around 1150 total yards throughout the entire season so far. He's on pace for just phenomenal year. I don't know what the Eagles' record for total yards is. I can look that up to see, but he's going to be close to it, especially in a 17-game season.
Yeah, they threw up a graphic during the game.
I was just about to say this. Yeah,
I love that so much. Great research with the Giants, he had rushed for like 970 yards on the season, and he was at that same mark now with the Eagles.
Crazy.
I think it's another graphic they flashed up for Saquon was just his first and second half yards. He has just about twice as many yards in the second half of games this season as he does in the first half. Yeah. Like, he doesn't slow down. He doesn't, have a good first half and slow down in the second half. He comes out slow and absolutely explodes in the second half. It was like 300 some first half yards and 600 some second half yards. It was crazy.
That's
even after getting pulled early in the Giants game, getting pulled early today, and he's still putting up insane numbers in the second half of these games.
Yeah, that's crazy. And AJ Brown is definitely going to break 1,000 yards. Devontae Smith, he could also get to 1,000 yards on the season. So imagine 2 1,000-yard receivers. Just phenomenal. Jalen Hurts had 4 total touchdowns today. Just really excited to see. The only thing that not worries me, but, just keep in mind, they're playing some easy teams. Cincinnati hasn't lived up to the hype this year. Cowboys obviously aren't crazy. They went through the Falcons and Saints and didn't, it was a little iffy, and those two teams aren't looking that crazy. Atlanta's okay, but the Saints obviously just lost to the Panthers. So they have a bunch of wins against non-playoff teams. Mm-hmm. So, I want to see some more games against tougher competition. They obviously proved it week 1 against the Packers. That's a really good win. But, they lost to the Bucs. The Bucs might be a playoff team. It's I want to see how they could stack up to a Lions, or I don't know, an NFC West team scares me, Rams, Cardinals. Those are solid teams. Yeah. And come playoff time, you got to be able to beat them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. And to your point, I think that's really going to be a test for the offense and defense alike. But I also think that in terms of defensive performance, against that Bengals team, the Bengals defense sucks, and that's pretty much why we won that game. But to be able to minimize that offense with our defense is a huge, huge accomplishment, because despite, the Bengals record and what it shows, some of their offensive players are having career years. Joe Burrow is having a phenomenal year. Obviously, the record doesn't reflect that. But in terms of the points that they're scoring and how they're competing with opponents, that offense is performing super, super well. Jamar Chase just had an insane game against the Ravens this week. And even Chase Brown, rookie running back. Is he a rookie? No, he's not a rookie. Is he a rookie?
Second year.
Second year. Chase Brown, second year running back for the Bengals, is having a pretty decent year. And so think it's kudos to our defense for fighting that really good Bengals offense. But yeah, I think that we really need to see play a really solid team and see our offense perform well against them to really say that they're a solid, all well-rounded team.
I don't want to interrupt this too much, but I want to put this up on the screen. This was tweeted 4 minutes ago. Oh my god.
I'm excited.
Oh, no. What
Yeah.
is it?
This is Cowboys drama here. So,
I
it,
haven't seen this.
this is credit to Jory Epstein. Um, Jerry Jones took issue with overemphasizing Dak's absence in the Cowboys' 34-6 loss tonight. This is Jerry's quote. I don't want to be sarcastic, but do you got the same arithmetic I've got? We've won 3 games with Dak. Okay, so I'm just saying, we weren't playing well with Dak at all. So there's a lot to work on here, and we're all aware of that, and it's very concerning. It should get the kind of concern that we have to give it. That's all there is to it. This is not acceptable. So basically, he's saying we kind of played the same with Dak and without Dak.
Okay, Parker. So Parker sent a text earlier and said the scariest part about the Cowboys is the fact that they could actually fire Mike McCarthy and Jerry Jones. But here, I think that we've actually got some hope. The fact that Dak Prescott is out with a season-ending injury just means that they're going to want to bring him back and say, all right, when Dak's back and fully healthy for a season, we'll actually be able to do something. And so therefore, since Dak won't be back this season, we can wait till next year when they'll try and run it back with Dak and still be just as bad.
That's true. And so some context behind this. We as Eagles fans love the fact that Mike McCarthy is the head coach and Jerry Jones is managing the team, because they are so incompetent, and it is clear. It is very crystal clear that they should not have a job. They should not have a role. I mean, in the NFL, probably college level, I don't even think they should have a role in high school. Maybe middle school, but that's pushing it. I'm serious. And so, I don't want these guys to get fired, because if they do, then the Cowboys have a chance at actually hiring someone good. Mm-hmm. And so I think we share that same sentiment. And Luke, you bring up a great point, because since Dak is probably going to be out for the year, they have that excuse let's run it back next year. They obviously just paid Dak for the next 4 years, and they just paid CeeDee Lamb. They've got all this money in those two guys. Dak's not even going to be playing. So you bring up a great point, Luke, and that gives me a lot of hope the Cowboys are still going to be awful in the coming season.
Exactly. Yep.
Mm-hmm. I love that in the NFC East we have Dak Prescott and Daniel Jones that are on these great contracts, which just, again, reemphasizes with the Commanders. We'll get to that huge matchup that is the Eagles' next game on Thursday. But this year, it's Eagles versus Commanders, 2-man race. But it's also just Eagles Commanders in a 2-man race for the future of their quarterbacks, because, yeah, the Giants and the Cowboys just seem locked up with bad deals.
Yeah, no, 100%. I agree with you, and that makes me super excited for the Eagles' future, because we have a competent QB. But here's my question, and maybe it's too early to tell, but this is like the big question in my mind that I'm trying to think about and predict for down the road, because really what matters with this Eagles team is postseason success. Like, I feel good about their chances of, making the playoffs and getting a pretty decent seed. But winning playoff games is what really matters. And so here's my question. If they face Todd Bowles and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, or they face Kevin O'Connell and the Minnesota Vikings, these two head coaches that scheme up their defenses really well, they hide their blitz, their blitz packages really well. And so they can really get after the QB. Jalen Hurts has been owned by this type of defense where he hasn't seemed to be able to read it very well. I don't think he's beaten Tampa Bay at all. And I think it would be the same with Kevin O'Connell and the Minnesota Vikings. My question is, do you guys think that Jalen Hurts is going to be good enough to beat a defensive coordinator and teams like that when they're scheming these special blitz packages?
Yeah, I think that we've definitely seen some struggles out of him in terms of that this year, especially that Bucks game, absolutely atrocious by the Eagles. But I also think that we can't take that Bucks game for an example of what is to come and what Jalen can do. I think that in that Bucks game, we can kind of wrap into those first couple games where we were struggling as an entire team, defense and offense alike. And also, I'm pretty sure that Bucks game is the game where both AJ Brown and Devontae Smith were injured. Is that correct? And so, not saying that we would have won that game if we had both of them, because again, the shows. But I think that as we get throughout the season, and as Jalen Hurts with Kellen Moore even more, and they get to know each other even more, I think that there's going to be some, a learning curve to it. I think that we're going to continue to see Jalen grow as a quarterback throughout this year, as he's getting to know Kellen Moore, as he's getting to know that offense, and as he's getting to keep the pocket presence with this clearly new offensive line that doesn't have Jason Kelsey. And so, obviously, Jason was a huge part of that, and, without him, we've seen some struggles because of it. But it's the first season the Eagles haven't had Jason Kelsey in a lot of years. I don't even know, 13 years, something like that. And so I think there's certainly a learning curve. And we played the Bucks. Todd Bowles has a great defensive scheming of how he packages those blitzes. And we played those Bucks early in the season. And so hopefully if we see them again in the playoffs, whatever round that would be, and if we see them again later in the playoffs, I think that we can go into it maybe a little scared of what we saw earlier in the season, but I think we can also hopefully go into it knowing that Jalen has learned and grown this season in a new role that doesn't have Jason Kelsey in that offensive line, picking up those blitzes and being a little more comfortable in the pocket and rolling out of the pocket to avoid those blitzes.
And Owen, what are your thoughts on the Jalen Hurts' ability to read the field, especially against blitz, because that's where he struggled?
Yeah, I don't feel too concerned about that. Obviously, there are some times, like the Cowboys game today, where he doesn't look like he's maneuvering the pocket well. But reading the defenses, I'm not too worried about it. I did some quick research because I knew I had seen this. He's absolutely doing better against the blitz by a mile this year compared to last year. I'm throwing up a tweet here from a month ago, but it still holds true. Last year, he, against the blitz, was 28th in the NFL in passer rating, 74.1. This year, he is top 10, rating over 100. He had 6 touchdowns and 8 interceptions against the blitz last year. This year, only 1 interception. He's completing a much higher percentage of his passes. So I think the stats back this up that he's, in all areas, doing significantly better against the blitz. So I'm not that concerned. Whatever defense they play, obviously the Cowboys defense is nothing like those defenses that you brought up. So it would definitely be more difficult, but I think that, one, I'm not worried about Jalen Hurts, and two, the fact that Saquon Barkley is in that backfield with him and they can run the ball makes his life that much easier with the blitz, where they have to respect the run, and just everything's easier for Jalen because of that also. So yeah, I think that's a good point to bring up. But I'm not worried about it. So
I like that. You guys made me feel more confident about the Eagles postseason. I hope that the stats will just continue against pressure. It'll be interesting. Washington's got a pretty decent defense. It'll be interesting to see how he performs against pressure coming the second half of the year. I hope he continues to show those signs of improvement, because they're probably going to play a pretty solid defense. There's some good NFC defenses, so they'll have to run into one of them at some point.
Yeah. And we talked earlier about, they're not playing a ton of playoff caliber teams, but I love that they're beating these teams that they're supposed to beat. They didn't beat the Jaguars by as much as we would have liked. That is what it is. But these past 5 weeks, they haven't played great teams, but they've dominated or at least easily handled all of these games, and that's doing what you're supposed to do. So, we've seen Eagles teams that always played down to their competition, And so far, they haven't done that a ton this year. So I still think that's reason for optimism, even though they're not playing the toughest teams. Just the fact that they're beating up on teams they're supposed to beat up on and taking advantage of playing these easier teams is great because there have been years where they did not do that.
That's true.
Yeah.
Very true.
Yeah. Another, just a quick, this is my last little aside. Things that I'm just learning from going through the internet posts after this game. Dave Zangaro, NBC Sports. We love his Eagles coverage. Johnny Wilson, like Luke talked about, gave a shout out to the role players stepping up. Johnny Wilson got his first career touchdown. Awesome. But, we'll put this up actually. But now the problem is he has lost a bet with Jalen Hurts because of scoring this touchdown. Yeah, the Eagles were very excited from Dave. Eagles were very excited for Johnny Wilson to get his first touchdown, but now he has to pay up on a deal he made with Jalen Hurts in the summer. Wilson now has to cut his long hair. Those luscious locks that we saw after he scored the touchdown. I guess he and Jalen Hurts made a bet over the summer that if he scored a touchdown, he has to cut his hair. I don't know why Johnny Wilson would make this bet. But
well, and didn't he in week 4 he had a touchdown that got called back, didn't he?
Yes.
And so it took him an extra 5 weeks.
Yeah, a few.
Did he not believe in himself, or
they made the bet in the summer? So
was this one of those things where it's he's superstitious about it, you know? And he likes his hair, and so likes scoring touchdowns. And if he scores a touchdown, that's a good thing. So, it counteracts it. And if he doesn't score a touchdown, he still gets paid because he gets money from Jalen Hurts.
Or if he likes his touchdown and his hair, he could just score touchdowns to keep his hair.
That's what I'm saying. I don't understand.
Okay, wait. Or no, hear me out. Or Johnny Wilson is a next level gambler. Let me explain. If in his contract he has a bonus for scoring a touchdown, okay, he was hedging. He was hedging on if he didn't score a touchdown.
Either money or the hair.
No, because he would have won a bet with Jalen Hurts if he didn't score a touchdown. So he makes money if he doesn't score a touchdown. He also makes money if he does score a touchdown. Johnny Wilson is just a smart bettor. He's a smart gambler.
But we don't know what the other end. We don't know that the other end of the deal with Jalen was money.
Yeah, we don't know if Jalen was paying him. All Johnny had to do was cut his hair. Jalen might not have been paying it. Maybe he had to
Jalen could have had another punishment.
Green.
That's true. He's still hedging though. He's still hedging. And if he had a bonus, which he probably did in his contract, that's some next level stuff by Johnny Wilson. That just made me like him 10 times more. Johnny Wilson is he's next level. That's a big brain play right there. He's hedging his bets. That's huge.
I just hope he's not like Samson and he loses his abilities with his hair. I guess we'll find out.
True.
I wonder if this haircut is effective immediately. Is it going to be he comes back next week and his hair is cut, or I don't know. We'll find out the timeline on this, I guess. But that was just an interesting aside that I thought we would have a fun time learning about. Okay,
so I'm looking it up here. It doesn't say
what
exactly how. Well, I'm looking up how tall Samson was in the Bible. It's not exact, but based off blogger.com.
I trust them.
It says here, if Arnold Schwarzenegger fought and killed 1,000 Palestinians, then he would be equal to Samson. Samson's strength was next level.
What's that have to do with his height?
I'm trying to figure it out.
Because
it says
Johnny Wilson's 6'6", I guess.
Okay, Samson height in the Bible, according to this TikTok, it looks like Samson could be anywhere ranging from 4'11", 135, and just had super strength. Or he could 6'5" and 350.
That's a huge range.
He's either a small man with super strength or an absolute beast with super strength.
Yes, yeah. So he just has super strength. He could be really short
Yeah,
and
that's
small and just have
totally
super strength,
possible.
or he could just be huge and have super strength. I don't know if that gives us any. Does that mean, Johnny?
I don't think we made any head. I don't think we knew any more before you made that Google search than we did before.
Okay, well, hopefully Johnny Wilson isn't Samson.
Yeah, that search was just all right. So according to this TikTok, he was either 4'11" or 6'5". So do with that what you will. Um, let's preview the Thursday night game quick. Because as much as we love the Eagles Cowboys game, it's the highlight of the year. Normally, this is not a normal year. Coming into the season, if you had said, the Cowboys game is actually a bit of a trap game before we play the Commanders, we would have all thought you were insane. But it kind of was. Like, you were supposed to beat up the Cowboys and not look ahead to this huge divisional matchup with the Washington Commanders that we all expected. But now, all of a sudden, you're, playing a Thursday night game at home against the Commanders with a half game lead. I'm so excited for this game. When was the last time the Eagles played a meaningful game against the Commanders where they were both like good? It feels like it's been ages.
It has been. It really has been. I'll get you the stats on that.
Keep yeah. How legit of a threat do you think the Commanders are?
As legit as it gets. I think that this is, obviously they're that division rival. It's been them and the Cowboys, or it's been us and the Cowboys for years and years and years. Obviously everybody knows that the NFC East hasn't had a repeat winner since like 2004 or something like that.
When the Eagles did it?
Exactly. And so, you look, in the early 2000s, it kind of varies. When you get to I feel like 2012, 2013, 2014, somewhere in that range, and it's just Eagles, Cowboys, Eagles, Cowboys, Eagles.
Like Carson Wentz era, 2016 on.
It's just
Dak Prescott era also.
Repeating every year, and it's like, all right, these Giants Commander teams aren't really anything. Mm-hmm. And so to actually see a Commanders team that is legit, I'm excited to play them. I'm also scared to play them because this game means so much because obviously we want to win the division. That's a huge advantage for us not having to play the wild card game. But I think that I don't even guess we have to win this. I guess that's not.
I don't think it's must win
because if we split with them, that'll be best case scenario.
Yeah.
Did the Commanders beat the Giants earlier in the season, or was that is that an upset? I don't remember. I know it was a close game.
The Commanders beat them.
Yeah, I know it was a much closer game than everybody expected it to be. Mm-hmm. But I was gonna say, at the very least, if we lose this one, then the next one in Washington's a must win.
Yes, you can't lose both.
You have to hope that you win it in Philly because you can't lose both.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm looking here. I think the last meaningful game, and correct me if I'm wrong, was in 1991 when the Washington Redskins were 14-2, and the Eagles ended the season 10-6. They were both
a playoff
good.
Game?
No, this is a regular season game. It happened December 22nd, 1991. The Eagles won 24-22, but the Washington Redskins, I believe, went on to win did they win the trophy that year? They were actually good. That was like the last time Washington was actually decent from what I can tell.
Interesting.
I wasn't alive in 1991, so
this is the biggest matchup between the Washington football team, now Commanders, and the Philadelphia Eagles.
Why'd you go to football team? They were the football team for a year.
Since then.
If anything, I feel like you'd go back to
all right. I want to hear it.
The branding, the generic branding still fits I understand.
I feel like we need to bring in the Washington Washers.
Yeah, we do. Yeah.
Luke will always be pining for that.
The biggest matchup since 1991, and in my opinion here, I'm allowed to have an opinion, right? And I honestly think, and this could be crazy, but I honestly think the Commanders are fraud. Okay? And here's why. Here's why. This is my explanation as to why. Okay? They've been fading recently. Okay? Let me explain some of the wins here. All right, they lost week 1 to the Buccaneers, right? By 17 points. Okay? I know it's week 1. Weird things happen in week 1, but 17-point loss, that doesn't look very good.
Didn't we lose by a lot to the Bucs too?
Hey.
Sorry.
This is my case against the Commanders. All right. Week 2, you play the Giants. You only win by 3 points. 3 points against the Giants. They'd have 4 losses right now. Okay, they have 4 losses right now if they didn't get this miracle Hail Mary against who? The Bears. The Bears have been sliding. Their head coach has the flu. He doesn't know what he's doing. Then you beat the Giants again by 5. So 2 of your wins are against the Giants, who obviously Giants are really trash. We know that, right? You lose. You beat up on the Panthers. Like, who cares if you beat up on the Panthers? You lose to the Ravens. You lose to the Bucs. Okay? You lose to the Steelers. Those are your 3 best teams that you've played. You lost all 3 of those games. I think they're mid. I think that they're not in the elite level. I think they have a rookie quarterback who's going to get shown up on Thursday night. He doesn't know the moment. He doesn't like the moment. And it's going to get proven this Thursday. Everybody's going to see that the Commanders are frauds.
Wow. I land somewhere. I'm not only in the middle of you two on the screen, I'm somewhere in the middle between the two of you. Luke said they're as real of a threat as they come. Parker says they're frauds. I think they're a solid team. Like, they've gone toe-to-toe with some good teams, but I agree with Parker. Like, their schedule this year has been easy, and it stays easy also, which is crazy. Like, if you look at the Commanders' whole season schedule, they have a very easy schedule. So I think that makes it even more important that the Eagles beat them, because the other games that the Commanders have to play are the Eagles are the Commanders' toughest opponent in the 2 times. What happened?
Fireworks just went off behind.
And they did? Oh, they didn't go off on mine. Is it because I did too? Dang, it doesn't show up on this, unfortunately, so nobody else saw that. That's too bad.
I saw it.
But the Eagles, I know what I saw. The 2 games the Commanders play against the Eagles are their 2 toughest games of the rest of their season. So that makes it even more important that the Eagles beat them at least once, but ideally twice. So yeah, I think the Eagles are the better team. I feel very comfortable saying that. I think the Eagles should win the division. I love that we. Do you guys remember after going into the bye, the Eagles were 2-2, and we were like, "Oh no, we picked this team to go 13-4 and make a deep playoff run. There's no way that's happening." And now I love it. We're back to we're just assuming the Eagles will make the playoffs. Like, we're not worried about that. We're talking about winning the division. Like, they only have 2 losses. If they beat the Falcons, if Saquon caught a pass to gain 3 yards, they beat the Falcons. They have 1 loss. So I love where we're at. I want to say that. And then finally, I pulled up the box score from the game Parker was referring to in 1991. The Eagles won 24-22 in that game. They scored 17 points in the 4th quarter. They had scored 7 points all game, and then in the 4th quarter, they dropped 17 on the Redskins to pull off a comeback win. They were down 19-7. The Redskins made a field goal to start the 4th quarter, and then the Eagles rattled off a 17-3 finish to the game. And they made Roger Ruzek, the legend that we all know, made a 38-yard field goal to win the game for them. So, yeah, just a little fun fact there. Shout out to Roger for getting the Eagles that win. So, if history repeats itself, and that, like Parker said, that was the last time.
Who was the QB in that time period?
For the Eagles, it was Jeff Kemp. And for the Redskins, they had 2 quarterbacks in this game. They combined They both threw for over 100 yards. Two quarterbacks over 100 yards. It was Mark Ripon and Jeff Rutledge. Jeff Rutledge seemed like put up an Anthony Richardson type stat line. He was 6 for 16 for 100 yards.
That is an Anthony. That's the OG Anthony Richardson.
No interceptions though. But yeah, I don't know.
How many touchdowns?
No touchdowns either. Their quarterbacks did not throw for a touchdown. The Redskins. The Eagles had 3 turnovers in that game. They fumbled 3 times and lost 2 of them. So that's not great. Also, the Redskins outgained them. The Redskins probably should have won this game, but the Eagles pulled it out. So, yeah.
I'm slowly going through the stat line. Yeah.
Yeah, the Redskins are better at that. Yeah, so that just fun.
You sound tall as head coach.
Fun blast from the past there. To learn about the history.
Did you hear what I said, Owen?
No, it froze.
I was like, Parker, is he gonna respond to that?
Yeah. Every time it freezes, it's when you're asking me questions. This is.
I said you sound like Utah's head coach.
What?
Like, get it? Like, they should have won. Like, Utah's head coach was like, we should have beat BYU.
Gotcha. Yeah. Where the Redskins should have won this game. I can see why they were 14-2.
Well, speaking of someone who's the opposite of 14-2, if you take 14 and then you divide it in half, 1-7.
Wow, what a math transition to the Sixers. That was crazy.
The Philadelphia 76ers. I want to hear your thoughts, Luke and Owen. Although Luke, if you don't know anything, just pass it to Owen. What about this disaster start do we want to talk
about?
I'll jump in first here. Let me share my opinion here. As a clearly avid, lifelong 76ers fan who knows every little intricacy about their organization, I would like to say that I'm very worried. I think that, I'm sure you guys are going to say this. We haven't seen a fully healthy 76ers team yet. We still got pieces. If we get Embiid out there, if we get Maxey out there, if we got Kelly Oubre out there, if we got Paul George out there, maybe we've got a stacked team. They're all on the team, right?
Yeah.
Still that. Then maybe.
You can't do that. Look, he said, yes, still that. He listed on some.
And I can't tell you who our 5th man is, but I think that that's a good team right there. I think they can put up some good numbers when they work together. But the question is, can they work together and will they work together? If this team stays healthy, yeah, they've got a chance. But that's true for a lot of teams out there. If every team stayed healthy all the time, I think we'd see a lot of different trends in sports. And so it's hard to go out and say that they're going to turn it around. I really hope that's the case. It's a long season. It's played. You said we're 1-7. That means we've played 8 games. And
1/10 of the season.
1/10 of the season, exactly. And so there's still 9/10 of the season. That's a 90%. That's an A. Like, you can still get an A on this season. And I don't think it's over. I don't think it's fair to count out anybody yet. But if things trend the way they have, and if the team can't, cooperate and work together when things do get going, it's obviously going to be a disaster class for the Sixers. They put the money in, they have the pieces, but they clearly can't do it.
Yeah, I would say that I believe in the Sixers roster at their peak when everyone's healthy and everything's clicking. I still think that this is a potentially championship level team when everything's working right. The thing is, by the time everything's working right, they might be in too big of a hole to dig themselves out of. So it's like, how bad is it going to be before they get to full strength that, yeah, they're not so far set back that they can't come back from it? Because even if they're great at full strength, if they're too far gone in the playoff race, then it doesn't matter. It's too little, too late. But thankfully, the East kind of sucks. The 4 seed in the East is the same as the 11 seed in the West. So if they were in the West, they'd be cooked. But thankfully, they're in the East, so that helps them out a little bit. Another
Remember the
thing.
4th seed at 1-7?
No,
No.
the Sixers are not the 4 seed. I'm saying the record that gets you the 4 seed in the East is the record that gets you the 11 seed in the West right now. The Sixers are dead last in the East, to clear that up. At 1-7. Yeah. And I just want to pull this up. If you're watching on YouTube, you can see this. I just pulled up Sixers on my computer to kind of put some stuff on the screen for you guys to show while we talk about them. They're currently playing the Hornets while we record this. They're leading by 3, but when I pulled this up, they were leading by 1. I was like, dang, close game against the Hornets. I scrolled down, and the top 3 tweets from most recently: Sixers' 16-point lead has dwindled to just 1 with under 6 minutes left. LaMelo Ball is cooking. If the Sixers blow this lead, I swear. This is probably the way the Sixers should have played the first 8 games to keep their heads above water. And then they obviously ended up blowing that lead. LaMelo Ball shoots and makes an incredibly bad shot to pull the Hornets within 8, and then celebrates and trash talks the Sixers bench. That sums up the LaMelo Ball experience. And finally, good timeout call there by Nick Nurse after a LaMelo Ball triple to cut the deficit. Can't let Ball or the Hornets find any momentum, which was 5 minutes before they cut the lead to 1. But the Sixers, I scroll back up, and it is a 1-point game again. So the Sixers
All right.
locked in a battle with the Charlotte Hornets right now. That tells you where we're at.
Okay. Sixers code red for me on the Sixers. Like
Okay.
these the Twins they seem a little washed. Some of them. And
Eric Gordon washed.
Well, Eric Gordon's actually he's being okay. Like he's all right. I'm more worried about Caleb Martin, KJ Martin.
The Martins, yep.
Yeah, the Martin brothers.
Are they related?
No.
Oh.
They're not related at all. But they're not doing anything.
Nope.
Let me tell you something. Here, let's play a guessing game, Luke and Owen.
Oh,
all right. How many points per game do you think Tyrese Maxey's at right now?
18.2.
26.3.
27.6, which on face value looks really good. You know, looks like he's carrying his load. You know, while Embiid is out, Paul George has only been back a couple games. Looks like he's carrying the team, right?
Is it an efficient 26 points, though, or 27 points?
That's what I'm going to get at. What do you think his 3-point percentage is right now?
38.
32.
28.5%. He's shooting 28.5% from 3, Tyrese Maxey.
Not good.
It is not an efficient 27.5 points. His let's see, his total field goal percentage right now is just over 40% from the field. That is awful. That is horrible. The 76ers 3-point percentage right now as a team, not including this game against the Charlotte Hornets, which they only had 16 points in the first quarter, is 32.5% from 3 as a team. When your highest volume shooter is shooting 29% and your only guys breaking 30% and that have over 20 attempts are Gershon Yabusele, who's at 33%, or actually, no, sorry, he's at 42% on his point percentage. And then you have Kyle Lowry. So Gershon Yabusele overperforming his 3-point percentage. Kyle Lowry's lights out right now. He has 47%. Like those numbers, 44, 47, are going to regress. Like they're not going to hold. The only other guy to break the 30% barrier, right, which is not a very high barrier, This is like 30% is
League
a
average.
very low 3-point percentage. Yeah. Well, it's below league average, actually.
Yeah.
I think league average is closer to 34 or 35.
Okay.
So it's way below league average. The only other guy to do it is Jared McCain. Okay. And he's at 33%.
Oh, sorry. I thought you said 37. Okay, I got you. Yeah.
Yeah. No, 47. Kyle Lowry, 47%. Which is going to regress.
Yeah.
Yabusele is going to regress from 42%. It's not looking good for the Sixers. The only hope that I have for them to make the playoffs, because they look really bad right now. Okay, for them to make the playoffs, Owen's argument with the East, combined with the fact that they did this last year. Okay, Last year they were horrible without Embiid. Their on-off splits without Embiid. They were one of the worst teams in the league without Embiid. One of the best teams in the league with Embiid. Right. So once Embiid comes back, he's supposed to be coming back this coming Tuesday against the New York Knicks. Once he comes back, they could just become a really good team because that's what they did last year. And we have precedent for that. And so as long as Embiid is healthy, they could still be a really good team, do well in the regular season. Their over-under total has gone from 52.5 games to 47.5 games in terms of like total wins on the whole season. It's dropped 5 games already, and they're only 8 games into the season. So, like, this is really bad. We need to be sounding the alarm on the Sixers. You couple that with, guys who have really bad injury history. Kyle Oubre is currently our second leading scorer.
Kelly
Oubre at 16 points per game as a second leading scorer. Paul George is averaging 14 points per game right now. And you have an inefficient first scorer. This is really bad. Really bad. So anyway, I don't want to bet on the Sixers for too long, but they need Embiid back, and hopefully he stays healthy.
Yeah, getting Embiid back was links to my last thing I would say about it, which is this just goes to show how incredibly valuable Joel Embiid is. Just the fact that in his absence, no matter what, it seems, the Sixers just cannot be good without Joel Embiid. Even when we felt like they put a good team around him this year, Joel Embiid is so crucial to the 76ers. So there's been a whole bunch of stuff. We could do a whole episode on the Joel Embiid off the court stuff since the season has started, but he's so important to them on the court that it's ridiculous how reliant they are on him and how awful they look without him. We're gonna wrap this episode up because
before we wrap it up,
yeah,
I got a question for you guys. What's the name of our podcast?
All Philly all the time.
All Philly all the time.
But we don't talk about all Philly all the time because we don't talk about the Flyers.
We do not.
And I know we don't know enough about the Flyers. We don't know
We're
a lot
working
about
on
the
it.
Flyers, but I think it's time that we share a little bit. They're in the middle of their season, right? They're in the heat of their season, so I think it's important that we talk about it a little bit. I pulled up some stuff on the Flyers because I feel like I need to be able to talk about it a little bit. Flyers are 5-8-2 at this point in the season. I've learned that ties are a common thing in hockey, relatively common. It's unfortunate that sports can end in a tie. I think it's the dumbest thing that any sport has in all of sports history is that things can end in a tie. Nothing should ever end in a tie. Especially hockey, when you aren't going into quadruple overtimes, you just shootouts. Just keep doing shootouts and shootouts. It's not like, I don't know. I can't imagine it takes that much energy to shootouts. Maybe for the goalies more than anybody else. But just keep doing shootouts until somebody wins. Please. I hate ties. Anyway, off of that rant. 5-8-2 on the season. Not a super hot start for the Flyers, unfortunately. I feel like we've seen this trend over the last couple years.
Not a super hot start. They're dead last in the Metropolitan Division.
Yeah, they're the second worst team in the league. Minus 15.
Not a super hot start.
Not a super hot start. I like the optimism.
I think that they might be able to turn it around. They are led by none other than Travis Konechny. I think that's how you say his name, Travis Konechny.
I think that's right.
I could be totally blowing that. He leads the team in just
right.
about every single offensive category. I think he actually leads the team in every single offensive category. He's got 16 points on the season. And so I think that he's a bright spot for this Flyers team. I think that if he takes them under his wing, because he's a right wing, that he could do some good for this team. So I mean, again, I don't know a lot about the Flyers, but if I do know anything, I know that it's all that takes is a leader. You see that in Jalen Hurts. You see that in Joel Embiid. You see that in Bryce Harper. You see how these teams perform when those solid leaders aren't on the field. And so just maybe hockey is a similar thing where Travis Konechny could really do a lot for this team and take them under his wing and take them to a solid season. Even if it's not playoff season, even if it's not a Stanley Cup winning season, if you can get something rolling after years and years of torment and torture of bad hockey, get something going.
I love that, Luke. I love that. Clap it up. Clap it up. Clap it up for the Flyers. And here's one exciting thing to add on to that. Guys, they have legends to look after. I found a great stat on the Flyers. Their second all-time leading scorer, Claude Giroux, you know how many career goals he has for the Flyers? It's the perfect number, 1,000. And so they're going to shoot for that winning percentage. They're going to shoot for that winning percentage this year, and I believe in them.
Thank you, Luke, for bringing up the Flyers, because we needed to do better at that this year and moving forward, because it is a blind spot and a weak spot for us, and we need to strengthen it. So that was a good call. We definitely need to improve on that.
While we're taking Flyers, let me take a player. I got to shoot out not Philly, but the University of Arizona Triathlon.
Shoot out or shout out?
Oh, shout out. I got to shout out University of Arizona Triathlon. Absolutely clutch. This is only the second year of the program, and guess what? They won the national championship.
Yeah.
Division I level.
Yes,
Can you believe that? That's crazy. It's the first national championship for Arizona, I think, since 2017 or 2018. It's crazy.
I think we need to rebrand. We need to all Philly and University of Arizona Triathlon all the time.
That's a really good sounding name. I love that.
Yeah, that rolls off the tongue.
PAUOATTATT.
Put that on a t-shirt. And
call it a day.
Yeah.
Yeah. We enjoyed our time together. Just time to say goodbye.
Before we go, I just want to give one more update on the Sixers, because we were sad about them. They're up 2 with 10 seconds left. So hopefully they will get their second win of the season, doubling their win total. That would be massive. And Parker, to reiterate your point about Caleb Martin's struggles, his first points of the game came in the final minutes of the fourth quarter. He hit a 3 in the corner to put the Sixers up. He was about to go scoreless in the game, but then he hit a big 3 late in the fourth.
That's crazy.
Shout out Caleb Martin for, I guess, the 3 points is better than 0, especially in a game that they're up by 2. So
I think it's only fitting. Kyle Lowry, I'm watching it right now.
Parker's play-by-play.
He just made his free throw. He got the score. Hold on, he got the score to 97.
So 3-point game.
And then they called a timeout. It's a 3-point game. So we got to end the podcast.
Yeah.
You'll see the score. Hopefully they win.
You're not all about the game by the time that this comes out. So
yeah. We will see you guys next episode coming out around Thanksgiving. So happy Thanksgiving, I guess. Thank you guys for watching. Go Birds. It's always a good day when you beat the Cowboys. And we will see you guys next time.
Peace.